inequalities, but the effect which has, or the effect of racial inequality on certain African American writers, as to why they use the kind of language which is very violent. So my paper would discuss the aspects of violence as an expression of emancipation from the racial inequality by analyzing certain perspectives of Amiri Baraka's play theatre called Dutchman in 1964, and some poems of Baraka's black nationalist phase, where he militantly protects the other by using a black aesthetic. Now, an important question that one must ask before any interrogation of African American literature is that who was the African and how was he presented within the culture of that structure, and how he was looked at. Historical evidence shows us that he was a slave who was alienated from the product of his hard labor, where the entire output was appropriated by the white master, and the former was transformed into someone or something who can be termed as, in Latin, instrumentum vocale. That means only an instrument with a voice. In Black Skin, White Masks, Fanon very adeptly writes about the condition of the Negro. He says that how do people see the Negro? The people see the Negro as an animal, the Negro as something bad, the Negro as something mean, the Negro as something ugly. Now, Malcolm X said in a TV documentary called The Hate That Hate Produced, Malcolm X is saying, when someone sticks a knife into my back 9 inches and pulls it out 6 inches, they haven't done me any favor. They should have not stabbed me in the first place. During slavery, they inflicted the most extreme form of brutality against us to break our spirit, to break our will. After they did all this to us for 30 years, then they come up with some so-called Emancipation Proclamation. And today, the white man actually runs around here thinking he's doing the black people a favor. Amiri Baraka was tremendously inspired by Malcolm X. Now, with Amiri Baraka, poetry becomes something new. The kind of poetry being advocated by Baraka can be said to be the grimace, expressing the hatred towards the narrative of racial oppression. Wordsworth in the early 19th century had defined poetry as the spontaneous overflow of powerful emotions. T.S. Eliot in the early 20th century had noted that poetry is not a turning loose of emotion, but an escape from emotion. But what does Amiri Baraka say? According to Baraka, art is the ideological reflection of society. Now let us see one of his poems, what kind of language he uses. He says, poems are bullshit unless they are teeth or trees or lemons piled on a stick. We want live words of the hate world, coursing blood, souls splintering fire, or dagger poems. We want poems that kill. So we can see the violence. Why is it so violent? Now Amiri Baraka in his autobiography gives us a reason for this violence. He says, we hated white people so publicly for one reason, because we had been so publicly tied with them before. I guess during this period I got the reputation for being a snarling, white-hating madman. There was some truth to it because I was struggling to be born, to break out from the shell I could instinctively sense surrounding my own dash for freedom. Now, it is very important for us to be aware of certain psychological interpretations of violence and violent men. Now, in a psychologist's casebook of crime, from arson to voyeurism, it has been noted that who are violent men? Violent men have often themselves been objects of violence in the past, especially in their childhood, and that as a consequence, they experience feelings of embarrassment, powerlessness, and worthlessness. In his play called Dutchman, we see this expression of violence between two characters named Lula and Clay. Now, Clay is a black man and Lula is a white woman. Now, let us just see the dialogues. Lula, the white woman says, "You're afraid of white people, and your father was Uncle Tom Bagley." After this, Clay slaps her as hard as he can across the mouth. Now, this is not a man beating a woman, but a black or African American inflicting his revenge on the white American. Now Clay replies, now shut up and let me talk. The others go back to newspapers. You don't have any sense, Lula, not feelings either. I could murder you right now. Such a tiny ugly throat, I could squeeze it flat and watch you turn blue on a humble for dull kicks and all these weak-faced, po-faced squatting here staring over their papers at me. Murder them too. Now, Baraka uses the word luxury as a political concept. This will be clear if we turn to his political poem. He has written a poem called Political Poem. What are the lines of this poem? Luxury then is a way of being ignorant, comfortably, and approach to the open market of least information. Now let us analyze some of the above situations. In a reply to the statement made by Lula, when she says that Clay is afraid of white people, the immediate reaction is the violent gesture of a hard slap across the face of a white woman, as described in the stage direction. Next, we have the dictatorial tone found in Clay's counter statement when he says Lula to shut up, followed by the even more threatening, I could murder you now. When Lula retorts back, Clay's reaction is again the violent pushing of Lula against the seat, and then later Clay says, let me be who I feel like being, and it should not be the business of whites to control the actions of the marginalized, who are in this case the African American people. Leon Trotsky, in his essay, The Struggle for Cultured Speech Rights, what is abusive language? Abusive language and swearing are a legacy of slavery, humiliation, and disrespect for human dignity of one's own and that of other people. So we can see the reactions of violent racial inequality. Now, the use of verbally abusive words by Clay is thus a reaction. Reaction to what? To the tradition of slavery. And what kind of slavery? Do we know that in America there were some laws called the Jim Crow laws, and there was a party which was called the Ku Klux Klan. No one should forget the Montgomery bus boycott, where Rosa Parks, a black woman, was asked to leave her seat only because of her color. Martin Luther King was once arrested because he had ordered sandwich from a white person. So we can see this racial inequality. Finally, I would like to say that Amiri Baraka notes a very interesting thing. He says that whoever thinks that America is a democracy and chattel slavery is gone is not with us in the real world. So he says that how can you be democratic when there is so much of racial segregation? The old chains are now less visible, fitted by the media and schools and laws. The plantations are now called plants or factories, or whatever they call, the myriads call it money-making machines. The Klan is now the police, with blue uniforms replacing the sheets and hoods. The corrupt, racist judges are petty Klan administrators. Now, to end with some of his poems, we can see that violence can be analyzed from the expression of Freud, and Freud used a typical German word, it's called Verlugner, which in English translates as disavow. Now, Baraka notes that art is formal as well as thematic. The poetic line becomes longer as the verse imitates chant. In the poem Rhythm and Blues, Baraka reveals that he does not want to become a martyr for Western art. Richard Howard, writing in The Nation, finds Baraka of the dead lecturer much surer of his own voice. Therefore, my last conclusion would be that with this poem where Baraka says, sing, fight, and continue fighting. Why fight? Why this violence? This violence as a result of white and black racial inequality which is still there in the United States of America. And if you see that the most vibrant movement today in the United States of America is Black Lives Matter. And why should we in India worry about this? Because in India, we also have certain people who are following the ideals of Trump, and they are trying to create the same kind of nonsense which involves lynching in India. And we must not forget that the Dalit Panther Party was also inspired by the Black Panther Party created by Malcolm X. Right?